this and more, the Director of Communications at the Ukrainian Congress Committee for America, Andrij Dobriansky. Questions first here for you. Thank you for joining us on a Saturday. I want to start with Ukraine, obviously. The last proposal had Ukraine conceding on several non-negotiables, Putin saying it was a start. What more will Russia advocate for?
Well, Putin did have one speech. He hasn't been a lot involved in this at all. There has been no communication really on a Putin to United States level or a Putin with Ukraine level. Obviously, in that speech, he also mentioned that he won't negotiate with Zelensky, doesn't consider him to be a leader. And lastly, he also mentioned that he would fight to the last Ukrainian. So clearly, the message we're getting from Russia is not negotiations, but if the strikes on Ukraine last night with over 536 drones attacking civilian locations, clearly they're not in the mode for peace. Meanwhile, President Zelensky just had an address to the people saying that this is the delegation that he's announced coming to Florida, that he's looking forward to having additional work, that Ukraine is interested in making constructive steps forward. So I think you're hearing more from Zelensky, the kind of language that President Trump wants to hear, less so from President Putin.
Yeah, in that case, it's, actions speak louder than words. All right, so White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defending the plan put forth. I want to take a listen to this and then get your response on the back end.
Special Envoy Witkoff, that Marco Rubio have been working on a plan quietly for about the last month. They've been engaging with both sides, Russia and Ukraine, equally to understand what these countries would commit to in order to see a lasting and durable peace. It's a good plan for both Russia and Ukraine, and we believe that it should be acceptable to both sides.
All right, so question becomes, Zelensky has called the proposal a tough choice. If he were to reject and then lose U.S. support, could Ukraine survive on European allies by itself alone? Is that even possible? What do you think?
So what we heard now going on 2 weeks where this plan was dropped out of nowhere onto Ukraine. Ukraine was acknowledging both the Revolution of Dignity. It's a day of dignity and freedom. And President Zelensky came out in the rain stating very concretely that they are being presented with a choice of losing an ally like the United States or else going ahead with the or else conceding territory, which is something that he himself cannot do. He stated numerous times the Constitution dictates the territory of Ukraine, not him. What happened after that was that Marco Rubio addressed senators of the United States, telling them it's not a U.S. plan. Then we had a news report came out that this was concocted with Mr. Witkoff and Russians for the last several months. So what Caroline Leavitt was trying to do was push back vociferously against all of these media reports, including the statement by Marco Rubio to the senators. And in the end, what started as a clear Russian plan, which states that Ukraine can't do this, Ukraine can't do that, NATO can't do this, a clear capitulation plan, which is, it's very similar to the language they put to the Ukrainians at the beginning of the war. What's happened since that time is, as you mentioned, the United States and Ukraine have come to several points that they do agree on. And so it's going to be on Russia to figure out what points they can get Russia to agree on, because at this point, there are no points that Putin agrees to.
So where do you think talks will go tomorrow? I mean, especially in wake of Ukraine's lead peace negotiator, resigning. Is Ukraine likely to receive a better deal in your eyes?
Well, the chief negotiator was the president's chief of staff. He resigned. The president accepted his resignation. No criminal charges have yet been pressed on him. But as I've mentioned several times with different interviews, Ukraine is activating a very high level of anti-corruption. So even a whiff of this means that you're not in your job until we figure out this investigation. So we're grateful for that anti-corruption status. What's going to be discussed is the same thing that Ukraine discussed when it met with American negotiators last week, which is how exactly do you get a plan based on international law? What President Trump and Putin have been proposing is a lot of pie in the sky ideas. We do not, meaning the entire world cannot recognize territory that has been claimed by force. That goes against the UN Charter, and anybody signing on to an agreement like that, I'm not talking even about Ukraine, but the United States, if they were to sanction this, there's a lot of countries in the world that then would understand that it's open season on changing your borders. Also, you can't force a country to do things it doesn't want to do. A lot of points in that agreement involve Poland to do something, or the European Union to do something, or the NATO alliance. Those countries have to decide to do that by themselves. So I think the key point is, what can we do in the framework of international law that we can have a steady peace deal? Because what we don't want to do is rush into something only to have a safe face and say that you're getting a peace prize, instead of doing something that's actually going to last for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, that doesn't do anybody good. Andrij Dobriansky, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it here on a Saturday afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, well, President Trump